So, I've been doing these movie review segments on my show for a while. And, we've developed a style, we've developed, a lore. And I want to say, I'm throwing it all out the window. I'm going to be honest with y'all. So last week, I think it was last week. I don't remember. My concept of time, my perception of time, thrown out the window. It's thrown out. I think it was last week. I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think that was last week, like last Friday, I think. But I don't know. That could have been 6 years ago, for all I know. I have no idea. I don't know what time even is. So anyway, I did a very long review of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and that's a perfect movie. But when I reviewed that movie, people really suggested that I watch more Stanley Kubrick movies while doing shrooms. And, I was already there. Like, when I watched 2001, I was already feeling that. And there is another Stanley Kubrick movie that I really loved when I was younger. And it got me into the horror genre. And that's right, motherfuckers. We're going to be talking about The Goddamn Shining. So I watched The Shining yesterday, while I was shrooming out. And I watched The Goddamn Shining. And wow. Okay, so there's so much to goddamn, there's just so much. Like, there's just so much. Okay, there's a lot going on here. So, what is The Shining? Well, it starts off as a Stephen King book that I read when I was younger. I don't really remember too much of the book. Maybe I'll reread the book. I don't know. I should, maybe. But anyway, so the movie, though, wow. A 10 out of 10, first of all. I got to get that out of the way. 10 out of 10. If 2001 is a genre-defining masterpiece for science fiction, this is the genre-defining masterpiece for horror. It's every second is perfect. Every frame is just magnificent, right? It all builds into such a, it's just perfect. It's perfect. So anyway, so it's also long, right? That's the thing about this movie is it's about 2.5 hours or so. And again, that's a big, when you're doing shrooms, right? The majority, the peak of the trip is really a 3-hour experience. And so, it was concentrated to pretty much the whole movie. And so, but the thing about this movie that's great is that, the whole, it's all building up to the climax. The climax of this movie is just so good. It's amazing, right? But the thing is, right, the climax, if you just watch the climax, if you just watch, the 5 minutes or 10, 7 minutes, whatever it is, near the end with the maze and the running and the axe and everything, if you just watch that, it might still be good, it might still be worth watching, right? But, really, again, this is a 2.5 hour epic, right? It's an epic. It's a masterpiece, right? And so, the whole entire film, it creates the sense of dread that really just makes the climax just it's just incredible, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you've never seen this movie, go fuck yourself. Watch it right now. Watch it and fuck yourself at the same time if you need to. And I'm sure that could be its own experience. But, again, so, the whole movie is just incredible, right? The sense of dread, right? One of my favorite parts about this movie is how, the hotel layout doesn't really make any sense, right? It's when you look at it from the outside angles and the inside angles, and when you look at everything, the layout and how it's shown and described in the film when they transition from scene to scene to scene, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? It's like a labyrinth. It's a labyrinthian, right? And that's what's really, like, it builds that sense of dread, right? That sense of confusion, right? Like, you know, because in a lot of movies, like, really, like, a lot of the walking around the territory of the film, like, where the film takes place, you know, like, it's world building, right? And you're trying to, like, in your head, piece together, this room goes there and that there. In this movie, that's thrown out the window. That is thrown out the fucking window. They're like every scene transition is literally only there to confuse you, right? There is no, like you cannot paint a picture in your head of what this hotel looks like, because it is purposefully, like, it's purpose that there's not enough information. Like, you don't know how this room connects to that room. You don't know the length of time from this area to this area. And that's on purpose, right? Because at the end, when Jack is going crazy, you don't know where the fuck he's going to be, because you don't know the fucking layout of the hotel. And again, it just makes the climax even more brilliant. But I mean, wow. I mean, the movie is just, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, watching this movie on shrooms, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was having I was really fucking freaking out. The themes of the film, right, and the book or whatever, right, deal a lot with, like, you know, abuse, especially psychological abuse. And so, like, you know, for me, that's something I have a lot of experience with when I was younger, right? So, you know, I'm on drugs, right? I'm watching this movie, I'm anxious as fuck, right? Like, this movie is making me fucking freak the fuck out, but it's such an enthralling, like, experience, right? There's just so much going on, there's so much to absorb, right? It's just, right? So, there's so many layers to it. I mean, really, there's just so many layers to it. So, one of my favorite parts, honestly, like, thinking about it now, right, like, one of my favorite parts is, like, I mean, Jack Nicholson's acting is just, I mean, like, it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, like, when he's, like, talking to Lloyd at the fucking, like, the bartender in the fucking one scene, and he's just, like, you know, trying to, like, pretend to be, like, a jovial guy, but, like there's so many layers of acting, right? So there's an actor who's, like, making a movie, right, playing a character who's, like, psychologically in duress, who, like, you don't know if he's hallucinating, right? So he's hallucinating, he's like, there's so many layers of acting. There's, like, fucking, like, 30 layers of acting, and it's just great, right? And then you got, like, the bathroom scene. I was freaking, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, the moment where, like, for me, like, my mushroom experience was, like, reaching the pinnacle of the anxiety was in the bathroom scene, right? Because you have the bathroom, and it's, like, that striking red and white contrast, which is just, like, oh my god, your brain is just, like, so enthralled with the colors. And so, and then, like, that conversation with, like, the butler or whatever, and then, like, you know, he realizes that he's the previous caretaker who we previously learned was also crazy. And so it's like, you know, crazy guy talking to crazy guy. They're both, like, you know, it's like a power exchange with every, like, sentence that comes out of each other's mouths. And that's the thing that this movie really does really well, is that it really, like, every single exchange of words, every conversation, right, everything that every other character says to each other, right, is a power exchange, right? It is attempting to win a competition, right? If you don't, like, you know, if you can understand what I mean here, if anyone has any, like, experience with, you know, psychological abusers, or just abusers in general, you'll understand the concept. But, like, so, like, when, you know, Jack is talking to the kid or talking to his wife, right, like, every word, every, like, movement, every facial expression, right, it's an exchange of power. It's trying to, like, take control of a situation. It's trying to learn. It's trying to, like, you know, basically orchestrate the ideal outcome. And, you know, and one of the other layers of the movie as well is the kid, Danny, right? The kid has, you know, his little buddy, Tony or whatever. And, like, that's just an interesting aspect of the movie right? Like the whole The Shining, like that's just like, to me, that's just like a backseat, right? That's just like, lore building or whatever. But like I love the scenes where he's fucking driving around the fucking hotel with the big wheel and the cameras just fucking following him, and then like the part where it's like he's going on the carpets and on the hardwood and you're just hearing the audio, right? Like the sound mute on the carpet, right? But then when it's on the wood, right? So when it transfers from the carpet to the wood, right, it changes the experience, right? And it brings you in and out and in and out, and then the fucking camera is like shaking. Like that's the thing about Stanley Kubrick, man, is like the fucking camera is its own character. The camera is its own character. Right. One thing I noticed when I'm watching this movie, and again, I'm watching this movie, I'm on a lot of drugs watching this movie. So, one thing that they do is they'll, like, the camera will slightly, like, twist and turn, right? Like, very slightly, right? But, like, it builds that sense of, like, unnerving, right? It builds, like, that fucking, like, anxiety, where like Jack is like going on like his weird, like, where he's very animated and he's like woo, woo, right, and then like the camera's like going like this, but very slowly and and it like causes you to like and again, I'm on drugs watching this movie. I'm like, is this like the drugs or is that actually the movie? Who knows? Wow. I mean, again, another favorite scene of mine is when Jack is looking at the hedge maze, but the model of the hedge maze, right? And then it kind of superimposes the audio of, the mother and the kid walking around the hedge maze, right? That's a little bit of foreshadowing there. But that part's really good, right? The slow zoom in on the model of the hedge maze was just like, it's amazing, right? Because then like my brain was trying to like solve the maze, right? So when that's happening, right? But then in the movie, there is no solution, right? They're just running around at random, right? And there's no solution, right? But it presents it as, that's where my brain is going. And the red, right? Like the fucking, like the red contrast of this movie, like the fucking, the tsunamis of blood. I mean, it's just wow. I mean, like, again, this movie is a masterpiece, right? Like I can't I can't think of a better horror movie out the top of my head. I really can't. I mean, it's just like, I love horror movies. I watched this movie when I was like 8 years old. It was like the first time I watched it. And I haven't seen the movie in a very long time, like since I was very young. And so like part of me, like while like next, so again, I'm on drugs. Like, so part of me, while I'm watching this movie, I'm like having flashbacks to like being like 8 years old. And I was like, especially with like the scenes where like Danny is at the forefront, the kid, who like, I don't know how old he is in the movie. I'm not sure exactly, but, like when he is like, freaking out, like staring at the room, 237 that's open, like the door's open or whatever. And like when he's having those scenes where he is the focus point, or when he's like screaming in the fort, like, and he's like, "Wah!" Right? Like that to me was like sparking like fucking like paranoid, like flashbacks of like watching the movie with my mom. And like, it was like just it was a very interesting experience. Now, again, I'm not sure how much of this review is just me talking about doing shrooms or like me watching the movie, but just bear with me here. I mean, it's a masterpiece. You got to watch it. But like the thing about this movie that's also that I found is super like engaging is that every character is having their own experience, right? They're having their own unique kind of like unraveling of their sanity, right? And they all happen over a different period of time, right? Like, the mother and the father and the kid all like start going insane very slowly and in different increments, right? So Jack, obviously, we like with the ballroom scene, right? It's very clear that he's going insane. And of course he's the focal point, right? He's the abusive father, ex-alcoholic, that kind of stuff. And so like he's the focal point, he's the supposed bad guy. So they make him go insane first. And so that's like when he goes in there and then there's people there and it's like, is he hallucinating? Is the hotel itself actually haunted? Or is he hallucinating? Are they all hallucinating? Are they all on drugs? Did they go insane? Or is the hotel actually haunted and is the hotel controlling things? Who knows? And that's what I love about this movie, is that that whole angle is open to interpretation, right? Like there's enough evidence on any kind of way you interpret it that both are just fun to talk about. And so, and it's just like, it's incredible. Like, again, the bathroom scene, I want to talk, like, the bathroom scene is so fucking good, right? The bathroom scene is just, it's a 10 out of 10. When he's talking to, like, the butler, and then he finds out that the butler's, like, the former caretaker who, like, he was told at the beginning of the movie that the former caretaker also went crazy and killed his whole family, right? And then, like, you realize that that's the guy, and then they start, like, exchanging, like, tips and tricks. It's just insane. And then, of course, like, the fucking, one of my favorite parts is as well, when the mother checks the typewriter, like, what was Jack? Like, what is, like, because, like, the whole point is that Jack is looking over the hotel, right, during the winter, and he's taking advantage of that opportunity to write a book of some kind, right? And, like, they show him, like, writing, but they never actually show what he is writing, right? And then when the mother goes to look at what he's writing, he's not in the room. He's, like, hallucinating in the bathroom and talking to dead people or whatever, right, at that time. And so, right, and then, like, she sees that he is, like, you know, of course, like, the really good line, but, like, every page is, like, written in, like, a different format, and I was, like, each format was different. Like, one's written like a book, one's got, like, pyramids and triangles, like, of the words, and how, like, then, like, you know, they fuck around with a typewriter, and they, like, write lines on other lines, and it kind of has this, like, weird, like, it's just incredible. I mean, everything is just, so then, like, you know, she finds out that Jack was crazy the whole fucking time, right? He was fucking Looney Tunes the whole time, right? And that's the thing is, right, like, there's no, like, the way that this movie kind of, like, builds the psychosis over the course of the whole thing, right, is just so well done, because it's, like, there's really no point, like, it's not, like, there's no moment where it's, like, that's the moment where they went insane. That's the moment where they lost their marbles. That's the moment. Like, you want to, like, say, you want to pinpoint it to, like, oh, the moment Jack walks into the bar room or whatever and then, like, starts drinking, like, and hallucinating that there's people there. Maybe that's the moment when he takes his first drink at the bar. Is that the moment where he goes crazy? But then no, when you find out that he's been actually crazy typing the whole time, right? Like, again, it's just like, have they been crazy the whole time? Did this event even happen? Is it all just a hallucination of some kind? Like a near-death experience hallucination, right? Like, who knows? Well, like, you know, it's incredible. And then again, like, the horror aspects. So let's talk about the climax a little bit. Right? So, of course, like, you know, the kid, Danny, makes friends with the chef or whatever. I think his name is Dick. And then, like, they use the shining ability or whatever to, like, you know, like, oh, I got to go back to the hotel and find out what's going on, right? So the thing I love is that, like, throughout the movie is, like, a Dick trying to get back to the hotel. And, like, he, you know, he's in a side quest. He's, like, calling the ranger. He flies in. He's trying to get, like, a snowplow, right? And then he gets there, and Jack kills him immediately. Like that's, it's brilliant. You're thinking, oh, is he gonna get back there and help out the kid and the wife? Is he gonna get back there and do something? No. He gets killed immediately. Like, he walks in the lobby, he walks in another door, and gets fucking stabbed, slashed in the fucking chest. And that moment is just insane. Like, again, like, it's the subversion, right? Because it's like, it's built, like, that's part of the build-up, right? Is that there's another person, another character, another player, another actor that's going to enter this hellhole, right? This scene that's unfolding, right? And he literally does not get any opportunity whatsoever to make any change. He dies immediately. And that's what's incredible, right? And so it's just, it's 10 out of 10. I mean, it's 11 out of 10. I mean, it's 12 out of, it's 67,497 3.7. It's 24 out of 10. Like, again, it's just incredible, right? And then the maze scene, right? The maze where, like, Jack is chasing Danny through the fucking maze. It's great. It's phenomenal, right? And when Danny hides and, like, tries to backtrack his steps in the snow. And then, of course, you know, the scene with the axe on the door, right? And then, of course, you know, here's Johnny. It's just great. I mean, every every single second that passes by is just a lifetime of experience that's unfolding. Now again, I don't know how much of that is the drugs and how much of that is the movie, or how much of that is like the combination. It's possible that it's like, the movie is good, the drugs are good, but when you watch them, it's more than the sum of our parts, like it just creates a unique kind of confluence of emotion. But anyway, I don't know what else I could say. This movie is just great. If you haven't seen it, I mean, like, is there really any human being on Earth who hasn't seen this movie? I mean, possibly. And if you haven't seen this movie, you're dumb as fuck. I mean, like, honestly, you should probably either consider watching this movie or just, like, taking yourself out of society. Because, like, you're barely a human. If you've never seen The Shining, are you even human? Like, do you even have access to the same planes of existence and emotion that the rest of us have? It's a perfect film. It's perfect. It's perfect. I mean, like, again, I'm saying this, like, and I'm not like, whoa, this is really good. Like, no. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's like, there's not a single criticism. There's not a single anything. It's just, it's amazing. It's great. And so, I don't know. It's just, wow. Wow. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm sure I could sit here and talk about this movie for another hour, I'm sure, but fuck. It's just really good. It's just really good. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, that's The Shining. Again, I just, Jack Nicholson's face acting is just like, it's 10 out of 10, right? Because like I was blown away by like all the wrinkles in his forehead, right? Like how his eyebrows like move, like the wrinkles in his forehead. Like how the fuck does a human being like actually like move the wrinkles in their forehead in a way that like they control? Like this motherfucker was drawing lines with his forehead. Like what the fuck? I don't know how it's wow. Am I right, people? Like wow. It's every exchange is a power, like every conversation is a power exchange, right? Like every time he moves his head and like makes his eyes go, like, he is trying to take control of the situation. He's trying to manipulate. It's like the scene when the fucking wife comes in and is holding the bat and she's slowly walking away from him, and then he's just like making fun of her and like he's like, woo! Right? Like and trying to like, mock her. Wow, like, right, like, it's too good. It's too good. I don't know. There's nothing else to say. That's The Shining. One of the best movies ever made. Definitely one of the best horror movies. If you haven't seen it, you're a dumbass. And there you go.